Steve Jesse and Erica Mahler have been dating for 6 years, but things aren't going so well. They've been at each other's throats for months, and this evening's argument is particularly heated. After what seems like hours of non-stop fighting, Steve leaves the apartment, hoping some time apart will calm both of them down. But he returns home to a harrowing sight.
He comes back and sees her on the ground.
Steve immediately calls 911 and tries to revive her. But it's too late. Erica is already dead. When the body of Erica Mahler arrives in the morgue, Dr. G is concerned about her lack of medical history.
She doesn't have too much history. She doesn't go to the doctor. We know she's got high blood pressure and we know she's got asthma.
But there is one piece of Erica's medical history that is all too clear.
She is morbidly obese. She is 5'1" and weighs over 260 pounds. She's pretty much wheelchair bound. When you're morbidly obese, it's difficult to get around. The just increased weight bearing on the knees, and it wears away at the cartilage to the point where it's so painful you can't walk.
Though mysteriously, Erica wasn't in her wheelchair when Steve found her.
She was out a few steps from the wheelchair. Maybe she tried to get up out of that wheelchair. She doesn't walk much. Maybe she lost her balance and hit her head.
What time is it now?
And because Steve tells investigators about their argument, Dr. G wonders if he may have somehow been responsible.
He claims he was out. He doesn't know what happened. Maybe the boyfriend has something to do with it.
Another possibility Dr. G must consider is a delayed reaction from a recent accident.
She was taking one of the local disabled vans. The van stopped. She flew forward and landed on some kind of bar that's in there. The van accident occurred just 1 week prior to her death. That's a little too close for me. I'm worried about a delayed effect from the accident.
With this in mind, Dr. G begins her autopsy. Externally, Erica looks fine. But Dr. G knows that not all fatal injuries are visible from the outside. Worried that Erica may have fallen and hit her head, she searches for injuries to her cranium.
I removed the calvarium. There's no evidence of bleeding inside her brain. So she has no evidence of trauma to her head.
But this finding does not rule out the possibility of a fatal accident. Dr. G continues her search for signs of trauma with an internal exam. But this exam will be challenging.
It's much more difficult to do an autopsy on a very, very obese person. I am cutting through literally a foot of fat on the abdominal wall. And I'm not exaggerating. 900-pound people, 600-pound people. It's very, very thick.
God, you got a lot to go through. Lots of visceral fat.
It causes me to certainly increase risk of cutting myself. It's that greasy. I don't see any trauma in her abdomen. Her spleen looked fine inside too. There's certainly no free blood in the abdomen. She doesn't have any rib fractures. Her lungs are in place.
So far, the internal exam is not yielding any clues that might pinpoint the cause of Erica's death.
Now it's time to look at her organs.
Dr. G begins by examining Erica's heart. And with just one glance, she can see that something is not at all right.
This is not a normal heart.
When Dr. G began her autopsy of Erica Mahler, there were few clues to explain this woman's death. But only moments into examining Erica's heart, Dr. G thinks she may have found an answer.
So we look at her heart. It's almost twice what it should be. This is an ill heart. It looks like high blood pressure, and she's starting to go into some early congestive heart failure.
And Dr. G also finds signs of trouble in Erica's other organs.
That is one big liver.
Liver is enlarged. Her spleen is enlarged. She has hypertension and congestive heart failure. She's got early pancreatitis. Almost every one of her organs is associated with obesity.
With this shocking evidence in hand, Dr. G now believes she knows how Erica died.
Her boyfriend goes out. She gets up maybe to go to the bathroom. He has a sudden arrhythmia and keels over. And this is clearly the result of her congestive heart failure due to her hypertensive cardiovascular disease and her asthma, probably a combination of both of those. And that's why she died. But the real cause of death is her morbid obesity. You know, what you can take away from this case is that we think of obesity as a problem with the way you look. It's not a problem with just the way you look. We could all accept you the way you look. It's a problem with your health. It is a huge health problem, no matter how you cut it.
In fact, just 30 pounds of extra fatty tissue creates high blood pressure and can trigger diabetes, cancer, plaque buildup, calcification of the arteries, and heart disease. On average, obese people live a staggering 20 years less than people at a healthy weight.
We see obese people more and more in the morning because there are many ways obesity can kill you.
But Dr. G knows that in cases like Erica's, losing weight can be a fight that can't be won without help.
Try to lose the weight and go to a doctor. Try to get on a professional weight loss plan. If you're truly morbidly obese, consider surgery to reduce the amount of food that can go into your stomach. Because it's not just about the way you look, it's about your life, it's about living longer.
Here, on the side.
I can't tell you how to live your life, but I can tell you, if you make the same decision as the victim in this final case, you stand a very good chance of dying prematurely from the #1 killer in America.